Good morning, everybody. I'm trying to figure out why in the world this system cannot find my mic. So bear with me while I try to figure this out and try and figure out why they can't find the mic. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm trying to figure this out. I apologize. I don't really know why it's doing this. All of a sudden, you can't find it. All right, so I'm trying to figure this out. It doesn't seem to want to do this for whatever reason. I'm not really sure. I'm going to give me 1 more second here, guys. I'm going to try to figure this out because I know this mic sucks. I know it does. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull this up now and put this chart in so that while I'm doing this and we're talking, and let's get into non-farm payrolls, why I'm looking for this. And I know the mic's bad. I'm fully aware of it. And I'm not really sure why it flipped on me here. But let's get into this while we can do it and do it. Pull this over. Non-farm payrolls 187 versus 200. Wow, is Goldman off? Good Lord, are they off? From where they thought that was going to be to where it is. Wow, not even close. Goldman came out and said that it was going to be way, way, way better than expected. 250. They're not even in the ballpark. All right, we're going to have to flip this back today. Get that over now. Drop that right there. You get into it. IEP cut its dividend. Not ideal at all. And so I'm going to have to kind of watch that today. We're going to have to figure out what's going on there. Again, I'm just going to keep repeating it. I am aware of the mic, and I'm not really sure what's going on, but I will figure it out and figure out why it keeps doing this to me. I started doing it last night too, I heard, and I'm not really sure why. I mean, the mic is lit up here very clearly, and I just don't understand why it's having such a hard time finding it. So. If I do it this way, if that helps. Maybe that will find it. Let me see. There it is. Okay. So I plugged it in a different way. And let me click on it here. And let me click here. Let's see if that made a difference in it. Now it's got that as the speaker. All right. That should be a lot better. A lot better with the volume. Let me know if let me know if that sounds better. So it should. All right. Great. Thanks. Yeah, I got to figure that out. All right. Well, what's happening is for some reason is it's picking up the Apple mic. I switched to everything back to Mac, and now it's just picking up different things. Doesn't matter. We got it. We got it all figured out now. So let's see how this plays out and go from there. This IEP, this is not great. The fact that they cut that dividend. The reason most people owned it was because they felt that he was sound, he knew what he was doing, and they'll panic now. Because if you cut it from 8 and you cut it to 1, what are you going to cut it to next? And that's a problem. It's a real problem for people that have owned this. They'll dump the stock. When you cut your dividend like that and people own a stock based upon that, we'll go from there. And, also, guys, on today's video for Saturday's video, just comment on the live stream yesterday. I like doing that live stream because there was so much information to go over. Mixed reviews on doing that. A lot of people said they would just prefer that if I just did the same kind of video. So I'm always interested in that. But see how you're making these higher or lower highs? You're really going to want to watch this today. This could be an absolute bloodbath. This is not a bloodbath. Bloodbath is like in the teens. It could happen. What you might want to do actually is just go figure out, we could probably calculate it out. I don't have it in front of me right now. I would look at what the NAV is and kind of go from there. But if you could find out what the NAV of that is right now, then that's probably where you're going. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's not where it is. Give me a second, see if I can find it. Let me see if we could find this really quickly. So they're saying 4.5 to 5.5 billion. Where's the market cap right now of this? Let's take a look. See if we can find the market cap really quickly. So they're saying 12 billion. So you could get halved. This could get halved from there. This could be really ugly. Let's say that they're right. Let's not just and from an NAV standpoint, if they're right, this can really come in. You could come down back into the teens. I would watch that really carefully. This could be a bloodbath. This market could really get ugly today. Let's go through that because I think that's really important for people to get. This could get really, really ugly today, guys. And I think that's very important for people to understand that this can get really ugly. Like we're starting to see where they're not holding names and names are not holding. I'm going to pull this over and I apologize for being so scattered this morning. I had a lot of trading I did this morning already and I was already behind. It's, these kinds of days, it's tough because like there's literally 50 names that came out. I just want to point out and be Captain Obvious. Okay. Everybody sees this right here, right? All right. What you're not seeing is that this is the first time that we took out a lower low right in here. That's the first time. And what do I mean? That's the first time. All right. You have not taken out a lower low except here. That was the last time. It was the last time that it happened. And it was a retest of a level right in here. It was a retest after that level. So you flip right here, and it's important to get this. You flip right there, you break out, you retest that breakout, and then you rip. See how there's no lower high in there, really? You just have Wick City as it tries to figure out what it wants to be. What do you have here? Okay, you have a lower high, very different than that kind of setup. So you have this lower high in, and then at the same time, you make this bar here a lower low. This is your control bar now. And now you're building a small bear flag on the NASDAQ. Like, don't convince yourself that everything's rosy. You have to trade exactly what is happening, right? Like, just remember that. Trade what's actually happening. You might not like it. You might not want to take the losses. You take the losses and you move on with your life. But when you start to see this, I'm not saying it can't reverse. It can. But you're starting to see a huge disconnect. Now, what do I mean by that? And it's really important for people to get this. All right. Apple was way off on what they said they were going to do from last quarter on iPhone sales. So you can't be that far off on units and you just can't. Right. So this is going to get destroyed today, in my opinion. At any bounce, just sell it. I went in with out of the money calls just because I thought it would be good. It wasn't. It's really that simple. It just wasn't. But you're going to see the names that rallied. And what I would do, right, and this is more of a broader spectrum, I would watch very carefully the names that rallied today and make sure they hold. Because right now, I'm just going to tell you, I'm not seeing higher highs on the names from last night. I'm not seeing that. And there were some blowouts, man. Like This net looks like it's going to be a monster today. Okay. And go from there. IEP probably gets into the teens today, guys. I'm just telling you now. Like if anyone that's in this that owned it for a dividend is going to blow it out. I'm just going to be blunt. I like the company. The guy is one of the greatest investors of all time. Should it have ever traded higher than NAV? Probably not. But if he was going to continue to pay $8 a quarter and bleed the company out of money, I'll be there to collect. I am not going to be there to collect if he's going to earn $1. I'm not there for the dollar because that means he could get rid of the dollar, right? When dividend investors do not play with stocks, real dividend investors do not play with stocks that do this. They just don't. So I think that this gets hammered. I do. Any bounce, I'd sell it. So, because everybody's going to be selling that today. It's not going to rally out of that unless he says it's a one-time thing, which I don't know why you would even do it if it is. So you're going to see this, but here's what I want you to take away from this, okay? We're going to bounce all around. You need to see the winners stay up today. We're seeing too much of this. We're seeing way too much of this. Okay, and this got me yesterday, and I'm still in a half position, but and I have no problem talking about losses, guys. I take losses all day long, and anyone that tells you that they're not is just not being honest. But you see this right here? See how you popped over both of these? I mean, this was a clear indication that we were going higher, right? Like we're pushing, we're in the middle of the range, we're going to push, right? And then it rejects. And then you go through these names and you're going, okay, well, 3M was another one I tried. Watch this. Okay, we rejected the 200. All right, race, record earnings, record revenue. What did we do? Record earnings, Ferrari, record earnings, record revenue. What did we do? Ran all the way up and came all the way back. Okay, what does that look like? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. So it doesn't matter the space you're in right now. They're all failing. ELF, record revenue, record earnings. What did it do? Oh, well, it was earnings, so like it couldn't, that's why it did this because it was up so much. Really? Okay. Did it happen like that this time? Okay. Did it happen like that this time? No. All right. So you don't make excuses as to why it's happening. It's happening. So you can't get above the open and you made a lower low. All right. So that's what you have to look for. You have to look for patterns. I thought this was an amazing report. Apparently I'm the only one because it sold down. So you have to look at what's truly going on out there. And this is what's truly happening right now. So I would tell you to sit, watch, and wait. And I'm going through it all this way for a reason. I'm going to go through this IEP and pull this up. So it's on my list today. But again, this could be a bloodbath for this name. Like that's nothing. What you're down right now. So, but you really want to, you really want to understand why that's dropping. I have so much to go over. It's actually today for me is quite frankly, even overwhelming. There's just so much to go over. The fact that you think semis are just going to stay miraculously up for some reason to me is laughable. Maybe they stay up for today, but I don't understand how they could possibly stay up with what's going on out there with Apple talking about what they're dealing with and what Qualcomm did. I think the equipment makers can stay up, but I think the stocks in and of its whole and the chip makers that missed, I don't see how they're staying up. I really don't. I actually find it funny that you have like KLAC, like that's bidding down. Lamb, look at this. Lamb, the ones that hit record revenue, the ones that are exceeding expectations and raising expectations are selling down. And the ones, right, that lowered guidance are trying to rally. What does that tell you? It tells you that short covering. Okay, that's like such a clear indication of short covering. Do with that what you will. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna get a little more coffee. So you want to watch this very carefully today. Now, I have a short position on this. I'm doing okay with it. I'm not doing great. But you paid for information. Can someone tell me what was wrong with Chop's quarter? Because I didn't see anything wrong with it. Right? I did not see anything wrong with that quarter. I truly didn't when I went through it. I mean, they crushed. They beat revenues. They beat on earnings. Okay. And so from my perspective, it was a good quarter. let me just change that statement. I had a really good day yesterday shorting this, like really good day. And I literally in the room, if you're in the room, like, like I posted every single move that I did with that live so you could watch what I was doing. This type of stuff, this scares me. I'm just going to tell you, like when you start seeing this kind of behavior where we can't have follow through, we can't break out. And, the biggest companies in the world are telling you we're not selling what we were once selling. That's a problem. Now, why is Amazon up and why is Amazon doing what it's doing? Okay, let's go through that. Amazon lowered guidance like 70 times. Okay, they kept lowering. I don't know if you guys remember this, but all in here when that new CEO came in, lowered guidance, lowered guidance, and then boom, right? So you just understand what it is. You want to see follow through on these names. If we're not going to see follow through, then you got to be careful. I would suggest, this is me, I would suggest focusing on small caps. Okay. I would suggest focusing, if I was looking long-term, on energy names. That's where my head would be right now. Okay. Names like this will be a teenager today. I mean, this is the easiest trade in the world to me. Just, go long, go short, do whatever you want with it. But it's got real problems. All right. That's a real issue. What just happened today. XPEV, I have a position in. I'm not doing anything with it. I will say this. I'm not calling for the end of the world. I'm just calling that you're seeing like you're due for some kind of pullback here and reset with these names. This was a great example. Okay. You went from 56 down to 40, held, and now you're rallying. All right. It's a great example of what I'm talking about right now. Great example. Okay. So these kinds of names are what you want to look for. Like when you get down here, they said they filled that secondary. Someone in the room found this. When they filled that secondary, held, and then ran. I have so many names that I can go through and so many levels to go through and so much to talk about that it's just crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to point out these levels and then you guys can kind of go from there and do what you want with them. But for me, I'm very interested in this DraftKings today. I think that might be something that could actually do very well, but we'll see. I think Apple on rallies is probably short. I think you're going to get people that are going to play the fast move off the open, and then you better get out of the way. I would be very careful chasing Amazon up here. I just would. The one name that I would use as a barometer today, candidly. Okay, so Melly crushed. I would use this as a barometer of health of the market. Melly crushed and exploded to the upside yesterday and raised guidance. If Melly sells down, you have an issue. All right. This would be my other metric that I would use today and to watch the market. All right. So there's someone in the room that trades the heck out of this and has a huge position in it. And they obviously did very well with it. You're at all-time highs. If you gap fill here today, okay, you know what kind of market you're in. So they would be the two things that I would take away from the market today. I would use those two metrics. All right. IEP will maybe it'll bounce, maybe it won't, but I can tell you right now, I'll hang my hat on it. You're going to see this very, very soon, 18. So just keep that in mind. If you can't find a short borrow or where you're at won't let you borrow for whatever reason, I'm just going to throw this out there. Interactive brokers, I never have a problem. Never, ever have a problem. All right. So I'm going to go through this and I'm just going to take questions. Your level today on the ES is 50. If you don't have 45, 50 and you're out there buying names, be careful. All right. This sell-off is kind of crazy considering how good that news was. But here's what I would do, guys. I would take that 830 level right here, okay? And I'd mark that. All right. I would mark that. And I'd want to know when we break that. We might break it right now, but I would want to know when we break that. All right. I would want to know when we break this to the downside. If we break that to the downside. Okay. They're your signs on the ES. My real level on the ES that I would watch I don't have any of that. This can't get more glaring to me that this is your issue right here at 50. All right. So you would watch this right here at 50 and go from there. If I'm not over that, I have zero interest. You should all know what that pattern is by looking at it. You should all be able to see this already, right? We went over it all week. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline. What happened when we broke the neckline? Right in here. That was it, right? Okay. So do with this what you will, but all you're going to do is rally up into this band, hit the neckline, and then probably roll over. That's usually what happens. That doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, but that's usually what happens. Let's get into NASDAQ, okay? If I can't get above 1550, you have to watch. That's a bear pendant, no matter how you want to slice that. All right, that is a bear pendant right there. You can actually clone these. It's funny, someone sent me a video. They paid for a course. They paid $2,000 for a course. And in the course, the guy explains how to clone lines. It's staggering what people pay for. Really is. See that right there? So you're setting up to break. You need to watch that level really, really carefully today. All right. This is not good. I wish I could be like Rosie. I'm just leaving it in a 200 for metric sake. I wish I could be Rosie. There's nothing to be rosy about here. Okay. I have some real work to do on this market. All right. So for me, my cloud system that I use, once we broke up here, 15.8, you can tell we never came back from it from there. You can set your watch to this thing, guys, from my perspective. If you just bought SQQ or TQQ and just every time this flips, you just sold, you'd be just fine. Right? It's like the easiest trade in the world. Right? Sometimes you catch a huge move, sometimes you don't. But it's the easiest trade in the world for me. So anyway, I think that if you're looking at this, you can't assume that you're just going to be fine. You're going to have to see that you actually hold here. Because if you break there, you have a real problem. And you've already broken here. I'm going to show you this. And I'm not going through a bunch of names already just because there's so many darn names to go through. But you broke. No matter how you want to talk about it or look at it, right? So you can't just assume that you're going to just follow the same trajectory because you're not. You should all see this. All right, I'll take questions. First one I'll do, because I know I'm going to get asked about, is Tesla. I think Tesla looks awful, personally. And I'm surprised that we're over 255 again. But here we are. And I think the problem with Tesla, quite frankly, on the short side is it's just so crowded. I think that's your issue. I really do. I think your issue is that it's just so crowded. And I think that's really what's hurting you here. So that's really where my head would be with it, as far as, what the problems are going to be. But I think you're just so crowded in there that you just don't have a choice. And they're just covering. Every single time that this looks like it's going to break, it's just not. And this looks god awful. I mean, this guy it's like that AMD chart. Like, we've gone through it. Look, and then what do? We break and then we rally. It's very difficult to say. But watch this market. The fact that you're bidding up now gives me even more cause for concern. Okay, the fact that you're bidding up right now is not good. I know people think it is, but it's not. You should be flushing. If you have a chart that looks like this, I'll do it this way. If you have a chart that looks like that on the NASDAQ, right? This is from last night's newsletter. If you don't get the free newsletter, link in description. For those that are asking to join the room, there is a wait list, links in description. Invites will probably go out. Another batch of invites will go out shortly. We just had a bunch of people join, and I have to acclimate them to the room. I talk to every single person that's in the room. So it takes time. It's a one-man show. It's very different than most communities. It's not just an alert service. So anyway, you can see what's going on right here, right? How in God's name do you think that's just going to miraculously hold? It's not. That has to crack at some point. It has to give back. You can already see what's happening here, right? And I know I'm spending a lot of time on the larger picture, but that's what you should be concerned about right now. Like this divergence here, and then we broke here. I'm going to get into it this weekend in detail, right? And then you're breaking here, and I'm just assuming that, oh, it's just going to blow that off. I can't think of a faster way for me to lose money than to think that. I'm going to leave you with this too. And I'm going to show you this. Okay. Just so you can see where my head is. And this is somebody that's long calls and that is very bullish on the market, by the way. So every single time that you get up to like 500 on the McClellan summation and you have this cross right here, okay, every single time, it's only happened 3 times in the past year, right? What's it done those times? All right. And then I'll take questions. What's it done? And it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world, but it does mean that you're setting up to pull back. So keep that in mind. Now, I do see the higher lows with it. We can get into that. So that might mean that that the pullback's even more muted. Different discussion. Please hit the like button. It helps greatly with the algorithm. I was going to put in I don't know if the guy did it. He was going to put in like the super chats and stuff like that. Not that you have to do it, but I don't even know if they're in yet. But that way I don't miss something if you have a question. I get that's good. Let me do this. Hey, Eric. I was kind of on Twitter, maybe impersonating you. I will never contact you. I will never contact you. Period. And I'm sorry that you're dealing with that. I will never contact you. I will never ask you for anything. The only time that I have ever done that is somebody's reached out to me and I send them like a link for the newsletter. But that is it. I will never contact you, period. I mostly respond online via YouTube these days because YouTube's a better format, I think, in conveying this information. I do like Twitter a lot. I just think that he's absolutely destroyed the product, quite frankly. But it's just my opinion. UTL, CLX, broken. So let's do Upwork because Upwork's a great example, John. Okay. You need to see or if you're going to push here or not. Forget this. We're not going to do a summation here. But you need to see if you're going to push there. All right. I'm going to put that magnet there. And then I'm just going to go here and I'm going to add an alert to that. Because if I make a higher high there, I want to know. All right. If I make a higher high there, I'm going to want to know that. All right. Now, let me run through these really quickly and go from there. I don't care if you're off topic, brother. Like, I don't want anybody to get scammed. So, but Clorox, these kinds of names. I mean, look, you're going to see this, right? Everybody sees that flag. They all see that you're above, your line. Like, it is what it is. But no, I would not do that. And it's me. And then I usually do run behind and I do apologize. I'm pretty active. Yeah, it's definitely not me. So if you need to contact me about something, Eric, just email me. Hold on. Just go here and email me there. If there's an issue, I'm more than happy to help you. Net. I like Net. If I had to look at one of these that is acting the best out of all of them, it's not even a question. Like, that's not even a question, Terry. You know what I mean? Like if you look at Net, right, and then you look at Team, see the difference? Here, look at Snow. See the difference? Net's just like Net is just like a bunch of people going, "Oh my God, we were so wrong." Right? That's really what you're seeing here. Like that's the move that's doing.
Like, I can't believe how wrong we were about this name. Like, that's that move. There's zero pullback. There's a bunch of people there going, I can't believe we missed this. I can't believe we were so wrong. There's a bunch of analysts getting yelled at right now. They sit on trading desks. I don't know why you give me a hard time here, but right. And now they're like, how did you not know this? Where are your channel checks? Blah, blah, blah. And then you come in this morning, you're like, oh, well, the Asian market, they have access. So I'm sure we'll sell down now. And then that 4 o'clock level just gets bought. Oh, and then now where the market's dropping. So since the market dropped, net surely will come in with the market. And now it's hitting highs. So it is what it is. It is what it is. So I look at that, and that's the one that I'd be looking at for sure this morning, and go from there. SQQQ, I don't know that I would do that. I don't know that I would do that. TUP, I'd watch that because of non-farm payrolls. It depends on what the expectations were. I think the expectations were confused this morning, really confused. I tried this. It didn't work. I tried this break. It didn't work. I just blew it out. I was actually up in the trade for a little bit. I made like 10 cents and I didn't take it. But here's where I'm at with it. Like, this is really your level that you should watch right there, that 50. Once I did this and made the lower low, like, to me, it was pretty obvious I was going to get crushed or get stopped out. So I just got out of the way. When I start to see that, I don't want to be in that. But you're setting up again here, guys, like right there. If you don't break that, you might push right off that level. Now, if you break that level, you have a problem. But as long as you're holding that 50, you might be okay there. You know, it could hold that 50. It could hold that breakout. As long as it does, you're fine. But if it breaks that, just get out of the way. Then let it reset and go from there. You know, I hope that helps. I think a firm looks great, and I think it fits into that category. It does. It really fits in that category. This is one, candidly, I was looking to take in a very large position in, and I don't even like the company, but I rejected, so I stayed away from it. Now, if I'm rejecting there and I'm looking for these kinds of, levels, I have to watch that, and I have to be, cognizant of that. That's not something that I want to be, jumping into if I'm not going to break those levels. I have a very large position here. We've done exceptionally well with it. I'd rather be in this, but I would think I understand what you're saying. Like, the payment system, Amazon, I'd watch this. It was a great quarter, but let's see if it holds. I don't know, Jay. It could very well be a fake Twitter account. I don't think that it's at the bottom. I think he's got real issues here. That's how I view it. Look, I mean, it's very hard to say here. Look, let me just walk through this, right? And I'm going to have to go here in a couple of minutes, guys. So I'm going to just do a lightning round on the rest of the questions. Please like and continue to share. It does help greatly with the algorithm and make sure I don't have to run ads. Now, you see that right there? How can I predict that a bottom's in if you can't even get through the DTL? And I can't. I'm one of the only top, 7 or 8 largest companies left in the world that can't get through its DTL. All right. Now I'm just going to, say this because this is what happened back here, and it reminds me of this a lot. And this was a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. Believe me. So this was Cisco, and this was the internet days, right? And you can see these patterns. This is why I love patterns. I'm a pattern trader. But like when you look at this stuff, and people that are in the room will recognize this pattern, this rising 3, and then we crack. So when you are setting up and you're holding DTLs like this, right? And these are weekly charts. I'm just doing a monthly chart because it's easier. And you kind of set up those DTLs, right? You don't want to just assume that you're going to come back from it. Okay. This never came back. If you just said, oh, I'm going to hold, this is when people say to me, oh, I'm just going to hold. You have no idea. You have no idea how irrational this got, right? And how irrational the market can get with a name. So when I see something like this and people are like, oh, I'm just going to hold, you have no idea. That looks very similar to what we just went through. So keep that in mind. Remember 3 years ago, you were at 40 bucks. It's not like there's this huge value creation here, right? You're trading a tech stock. So I don't know that you're near a bottom. I hope that helps. But I wouldn't just assume that you're going to just miraculously break through. If you were going to break through, why haven't you? Is kind of where my head is with it. Why haven't you? Why are you still seeing the systematic selling of this name? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, you have to watch that, man. You like that. That's not a joke. Ashutash, let me know if I pronounced your name correctly. My pronunciation skills are horrible, but let me know if I pronounced that correctly, please. So I pronounce your name correctly when you ask questions. Thank you. I agree. You have to look at the McClellan, and you have people have to understand what that is, and they have to look at it. I 100% agree with you. I like it. Look, man, I like the regionals. Okay, I think that they're way off. I really do. I think people are way off on the regionals here. Whenever we know what the problem is, it's not the problem, right, Cam? I mean, you know how I think. Like when we know what the problem is, that's not the problem. That's like when everyone's like with the regional banks, and we talked about that price point here, and then how it moved from that price point on. Like that's never the problem. Commercial real estate, if we all know commercial real estate's the problem, that's not the problem. So what was the problem? Finch downgrading the debt. Who had that on their radar? Who had AI on their radar this year? Nobody. They're the problems. So if we all know that regionals are the problem, they're not the problem. I know that sounds really stupid, and I'm probably not doing it justice, and someone could be way more poetic than the way that I'm saying it. But if you know the problem, and we're all talking about the problem, it's no longer the problem. I have a friend that owns a very large mortgage company, commercial mortgage space, and like huge mortgages, casinos, that kind of stuff. And him and I were talking about the ARMs, the bridge loans, and all this stuff they do. And he said all they're going to do is raise the rates, and they're going to have the LTV is going to be more conservative. He's like, that's all we're going to do. He's like, this is not going to be a big deal at all. He's like, we're aware of it, so we can act accordingly going forward. Very different. So yeah, Cam, I love it. FTNT, stay away from. Anything that missed is going to be repriced. Anything that's missed is going to be repriced. Maybe Andrew. Why do you got to dislike? Why do you even have to put that in people's heads, Darwin? Change your energy, man. NVIDIA, watch 460 like a hawk. I think it does. Good morning, Claudia. I thought we had a meeting, Claudia. Didn't we have weren't we supposed to have a conversation? I think you're due, man. I think we're due for a flush and everybody to realize that the market goes down and you don't have 1.7 trillion behind you any longer. Hey, Jacob, FCNCA. I love this name. Absolutely love this name. Very difficult to buy this right into earnings because you just don't know. But, this is the easiest trade in the world. If you're willing to go long and just stay long, like you have a double. That's what I try to explain to people. You have doubles in regional banks because if you go back and listen to that conversation that we had, I gave two names. They're almost both doubles. I own one of them in size. So Algo's way likes to recommend the channel. Dislike. I know. I mean, like, why are you doing that? Like, what did I do to you? Right. Correct. Not a problem. Paraphrasing form of, yeah. If everything on the menu is good, then nothing is good. Right. If everything's great, then nothing's great. Right. Oh, soon next week. Okay. All right. I got to jump, everybody. Trade to win today.